Alrighty then, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Living Legends, the European Masters Edition, and as I promised, we are now going into the group stage, so we're gonna have interviews with most of the group participants, and today we have all the representatives from Group 1. We have Annie, we have Ultra, we have Katasus, we have Nujwik. Actually, how do you pronounce your name?
You can say it like that if you want. There is not a correct pronunciation, so...
Can you pronounce it yourself so I know how to do it?
No.
Thank you.
So,
okay,
yeah,
you're helping me be disrespectful to you.
The name is random and he has no idea how to pronounce it himself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
He probably misclicked when he was making his nickname, you know?
Oh, fuck.
Actually, did you just type in random generator, gave it those words and that was it?
No, it has a special meaning, but...
Meanwhile, we see Annie doing his weird Jedi mind tricks here.
No, it's just my camera goes out of focus.
Yeah. So guys, we are back and these bad boys have been playing in this week. We've seen some good results, some good results maybe next week for some people here. And I think we're going to start off right away with you, Annie, because you are and your country is actually the MVP of your group, going 2-0 in this weekend. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, pretty good. I wasn't expecting to get such games going pretty well. Like, we had a good hand in the first round versus Spain. Not gonna lie, that game versus Rakatam, we just had a really nuts top deck Darius. If we did not top deck Darius, I'm not sure if we would have had such an easy game. Because some recent lists, such as ours, also has one-off star shaping. And besides the guiding touch, there's no other healing except for that and star shaping, because we already killed both of their 4-drops or whatever. But yeah, like, it would have been a tough game if we wouldn't top deck that Darius. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about the game so far. I mean, we won, so I'm happy about it. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
You have the good trait of a good player. You're top decking what you need when you need it.
I mean, talking about top decking, I mean, that wasn't really a top deck. That was just a Hail Mary and some quick muffs in game 1, I think. So if we look at Team Croatia versus Team Spain, it was the matchup between Soraka and Tom Kench versus the Nightfall deck. And that was pretty interesting because you had us on cast actually doing some muffs if you could actually get the heal lethal there, and it was super close. Obviously, you found the Fortune Croaker, and after some thinking, figured out what most of the casters couldn't figure out, that was actually lethal, and you actually had enough heal there. That was pretty clutch. How did you feel about that?
Okay, that was pretty nuts, but yeah, like, if we would have not top decked it, we would have been dead. Like, your open attack would have been like 90% sure lethal. Like, I don't know what we could have gotten that would help us besides like double Pale Cascade or something. I'm not sure.
You already have 3 Pale Cascade, I think.
But like, throughout most of the game, as you saw, like, the problem with your Nightfall deck is like, I don't need to do anything. I'm just passing every turn. When Nocturne is not on board, I'm just winning. So as soon as the Nocturne came out, I had to eat him, but you killed my Tom Kench. But yeah, I felt really good about the Diana attacking, though. That won us the game, I think. I think that was the one misplay.
Speaking of lethal and of heal lethal, let's let people actually watch that heal lethal over here for a second.
Look, call me Nevada because I can't count, guys.
So this is gonna go up, Starspin up to
Yeah.
So now you can still play the Fortune Croaker to get 2 damage units.
So I imagine you have sound off on the clips, right?
3 units for 1.
The people enjoy them.
So you do have lethal. This is what I mentioned before.
Well, that's that. You know, you are just a little bit shy here on the side of Spain. Now that we sort of just rambled about numbers for, a solid 3 minutes straight trying to do math. We are not I don't
Look,
know.
guys,
Look, call me Nevada because I can't count.
How
Did you
much
solve
did it
that?
take to you to actually count all that math? And were you relieved when you picked up that Rubik's Cube and kind of started playing with it?
Okay, let me get one thing straight. When I play with my Rubik's Cube, it's just to pass the time thinking, to do something with my hands. Because throughout the majority of time, we're just doing this, and we're just like sitting at the computer. For me, it's like I have to do something, at least this, or I'm eating something. But yeah, so yeah, like I was counting, and I was like, okay, we need like 3 healing if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember anymore. But it was pretty much just like I had it in my hand already. Had already. I was just discussing it with my teammates throughout the entire time. I knew what I would do. I was just talking to my teammates to confer with them.
Did you actually end up solving a Rubik's Cube by accident just by playing with it?
No, you can't do that.
I mean, one thing I noticed there, and that was also super crucial in the game, maybe not insane, but there was a pretty low roll in the middle of the game, I think, where from, I would say it's an unspeakable horror, there was a degeneration of an Eclipse Dragon, which led into Catagrin, which we also saw in the hand of Team Spain. Not really what you wanted there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think I didn't see that list from Spain before. Like I don't know what it runs, how many 1-offs, 2-offs, or 3-offs, but like their hand was a bit dead. And I realized that as soon as they played nothing on like turn 4 or something, I don't remember, but they were passing, and I was just like, okay, like you can pass when it's not your turn as a Nightfall deck, because you can still make those aggressive plays, you can bank them on, you can even lose 1 or 2 mana, it's not a big deal in such a deck. But when you're not making offensive plays on your turn, or like you're just swinging with with 1 unit that has Overwhelm, is if I don't block it, I'm not gonna die. But it gives me so much information that the opponent just has at that hand. And at that point on, I was just like, I'm comfortable just playing out my entire hand, doing whatever I want. So it was just, I realized that Spain had that hand, and I was just like, okay, well, I can chill. I don't need to do anything anymore. I guess Spain was just unlucky with the hand. Too many high drops or something. I was watching the WOD, and I was just like, yeah.
I mean, for an aggro deck, the least you want is big drops when you need small drops to just swarm the board. It was kind of unfortunate for them. But what I want to bring up actually is how much do you think the deck building phase mattered for your wins, and how much do you think the ban phase, the ban system mattered for your wins?
A lot. I really think that this format is very important to notice. Compared to like best of 3 with 3 decks, 1 ban, it's pretty no-brainer there. Like you have 3 decks, you ban the one that you feel worst versus with all of your 3 decks, or if you're countering something, whatever. But the format is completely different here. You're playing 9 decks, you ban 3, you're essentially playing 6. Nobody has duplicates throughout the entirety of the tournament. So it's basically 6 versus 6. And banning is the entire point of this tournament. Knowing what to ban, knowing what to expect, I feel like that is the most important thing. And the whole preparation phase for the tournament for my team is just knowing what we're playing versus, like knowing what we're trying to play against, and predicting bans. That's it. There's nothing else you can do. If you're like, at the first idea, we had very different decks that we were thinking of bringing. I was thinking of bringing Endure. Everybody was expecting me to bring Possession to the tournament, but I didn't, just because when I looked at our lineup, I was like, okay, well, if I bring Endure is good versus aggro, it's good versus mid-range, eats Demacia because I run control stuff. But if I go for Anivia, the decks are the same, but Anivia wins versus Lee Sin, Endure doesn't. And I was just like, well, what's the point of bringing Endure? Because it's the same shit. But Anivia is better.
Was there any possession in the Nivea list?
No. It would have been too much of a troll. Maybe we're gonna do it. Maybe we're gonna do something spicy the last day. If we're gonna get lucky and go like 4-0 or like 4-1 or something, where even if we lose the last day, then I might go like do some spicy stuff the last day. But if we're gonna go like 3-1, I'm not gonna troll or something. So yeah.
That's pretty interesting to hear, though, that you decided to go against something like that and went for a bit more into a lineup that is maybe less comfort, because I think we talked a lot about on stream that there are definite bans that you do against specific players. So actually not bringing the Endure and the possession here, maybe throwing off your opponents a bit, might have been really good.
I mean, it's a discussion about it, basically, but in my opinion, it's all about the banning and making your lineup as well as knowing how to play your decks. Like, obviously, if you don't know how to play a deck, if you don't know how to play a deck, it's obviously not a good idea to bring something you don't know how to play. But I played Anivia back in the day when it was like one of the strongest decks, and that was like a year ago already or something. It was a long time ago. It was like right after beta or something. But I do have a lot of experience with Anivia. It was one of my first decks that I've been playing, so it's not something that I don't feel comfortable with.
Speaking about a year ago, do you remember the very first Undying Ezreal iteration in the game? It's probably you, me, and Red that were playing that list. It's only 3 persons. Everyone that was tuning when we were playing were like, what the hell is this? Why don't you play a better SI list? I did paid off.
It's fun, to be honest, yeah.
And I'd like to pass the ball a bit to Nuzvik's side, because I would like to know from your point of view, what do you think has gone wrong on your side of events?
Well, the first game I think we drew quite badly, but then at some point we attacked with Diana because we were playing around Astral Protection on the Tankens to protect it, so at least we could have killed the Soraka, but yeah, attacking with Diana there was a huge misplay, I think.
And I would like to address you the same 2 questions. How much do you think your deck building mattered, and how much do you think the ban system mattered?
I actually think it matters more than... You can't... okay. I think it actually matters a lot, and for this week we didn't even prepare that a lot. Like, we just bring a few decks and we were comfortable playing with. And we're like, okay, we'll play this and that's it. But for this week, I think we are gonna prepare a little bit more, and we actually have like a strat to make sure we go to 0.
That's pretty interesting to hear, because if you already have a strat, you do gotta take into account that there is a balance patch underway that might be a bit more than usual. So do you already have like a few decks really in mind, or are you adaptable and you think, okay, if the meta like completely changes, we have like an alternative plan?
I mean, more like a strat, it's like a system or so even if they change a few things, so I don't think that really matters.
Cool.
Nice. And I would like to speak about your second game. I don't think your second game from day 2 was streamed, wasn't it, Nuzvik?
No.
Which did you play? Which one did you play against?
We played against Romania. We played.
Oh, yeah, actually. Why didn't you win, Catasus? Why didn't you make me proud day 2 as well? Come on.
I think the heart of the cards are stacked against me, at least slightly.
Yeah, okay. I think game 1 was okay for us. Like, the matchup was good and we just won. Game 2, I think we threw at some point, but you still had like a little advantage. And then game 3 were just like that. They didn't know how.
Give us some pointers of what actually happened, because we didn't see it, and maybe just to get an idea, what were your bans, what were your strategies, something like that. For example, Nuzvik, would you like to start?
I don't even remember what we banned. actually didn't even remember what we banned while we were playing, so I think we started with how do you call it, the Ferson deck, because it was good against all his lineup, I think. So we just
Yeah,
won
that took me unprepared. The only deck I didn't expect.
Yeah, we just won against Lux Aurelion Sol, I think it was.
Yes.
And then the second matchup, we tried to go with the Furasian for some reason. I don't know how you see that matchup, but
I
didn't
think
go
my deck, personally speaking, was meshing kind of every aggro deck and most of your decks. That's why I banned your 3 control decks, leaving you exposed to my Demacia decks. And then having pretty good overall matchups. The thing that took me by surprise was that you changed to discard aggro the last game, because I had some theoretical very free matchups, as in War Mothers, which was still very greedy, sadly, and Soraka Tam Kenshi is doing pretty decently into that one. So I figured you'd go again with something slightly more controlling, like Furasian, so that's why I didn't bring Soraka, and in the end it didn't pay off.
Speaking about the Demacia Targon list, is that list the same one that you played in the DOR that you won, or was it slightly modified? I'm just
It's
curious.
slightly modified. It's basically the same idea as in like smashing aggro decks with your Radiant Guardian, you know, your big boy, your big 4/5 that just heals you to 20. Having like 2 of Judgment to judge whether or not you want to win the game. I mean, I've played one indoor and one in the Spain games, but it wasn't enough, sadly. I think that if I were to draw Radiant, for example, I would have felt much more comfortable because that's the win con. Didn't happen.
It
and
was
we
more
lost.
a draw problem rather than a deck building
No,
problem? Or
I
would it
mean,
change
the matchup,
something?
I haven't tested the matchup. I thought they would bring Endure and that would be pretty free for my lineup. I think that's why they changed. That was very good on their side. I didn't expect it, which was my bad. Which put the team actually in a very wide position, because we would have loved to ban 4 decks, but we only could afford to ban 3. And we had good anti-aggro lineups. My Leona deck was basically just a Luxray Soul, but with 5 different cards, as in the champions. And my most of my lineup was basically just beating their aggro. But
I remember
we still lost.
we actually banned their Leona because I think it was the most anti-aggro deck they had.
Luxray Soul is the same actually, because I run a lot of early curve and Radiant and ways to proc it. It's pretty close. I agree, it's slightly more mid-rangey.
And looking back at the games, would you have done something different? Maybe decide to bring different decks or come up with a different strategy?
Yeah, I think I had 2 big mistakes. Not changing War Mothers, because I figured they might like try to change their strategy because they lost. They might like go a 100-degree strategy, as in bring a lot more control to beat my decks. So I figured I would just change one deck as Karma, which was not... I was not feeling confident into their lineup. And calling the bluff on War Mother. As in, I keep it the same, but you think I changed, so you ban it. Which didn't work. And the second thing I would have changed with a bit of hindsight would have been to like use one of my 2 star shapings on the face in the Weimar game. Because I was taken by surprise. Feeling so safe, and all of a sudden your HP drops below 0, you know. Nothing you can do anymore.
Shit happens. How about you, Nuzhik? Was there something you would have wanted to change to make the win even more juicier, or do you think there was something that could have been done differently?
I mean, firstly, I think Croatia had a really good lineup, so our lineup was kind of fucked about their lineup. We were thinking, okay, what do we pick now? And like almost every matchup was good for them. And for some reason, we also had Endure, which was like a tropic. It wasn't supposed to be there. And the second day, I think, not banning War Mother was actually good, because if I am not mistaken, you don't run Avalanche.
Yeah, but the idea is that I could have changed my list. I thought about that. I really did. I thought about like going full anti-aggro with War Mothers, but I thought you'd think that, and you'd either change into anti-control lineup or just ban it. So I thought, yeah, I figured I leave it that way because it beats what it was supposed to beat. Sadly.
I thought you all thought that, so you will think that.
Yeah, it's just a thinking game. Those are fun until you lose. Happens.
Speaking about...
Mind game is fun until you get it wrong, right? It's like...
Yeah, exactly.
I'm such a master man, Okay, I lost.
Exactly, that's how I felt when they left it open. I was like, they got my bluff. Could have changed Deep as well, right? I could have gone pretty anti-aggro with Deep. Who knows? But I like my greedy Deep. I'm a greedy player.
Yeah, speaking about greedy Deep, I know that you like to play with a lot of 1-offs, 2-offs, yeah.
No, my deck was a BBG deck. It had 13 3-offs and a 1-off. Like, the perfect good deck. It had draw in it as well.
And cutting
it only didn't used to run like any removal spell in general. Like, who needs spells?
And cutting back to the mastermind that loses, Ultraman. Katasis, what happened to day one?
That's a good appellation, I think.
They fell for it.
We failed on my against squad twice. Like that's it. Like I cannot put it any other way. The first match is basically us somehow winning with scouts against Soraka Tamkench, despite I think 3 Soraka and 1 Tamkench in front of us, which I have no idea how we did, but we managed to pull that off. So we are like, okay, this is awesome. And then for some reason we're like, okay, after a loss like that, they're gonna be crushed. They're not gonna queue back with Soraka Tamkench.
You have no idea how angry I was after that loss. No idea.
I was like, they're gonna be crushed. They're not gonna play Soraka Tamkench again. But they did. So first mind game wrong. Okay, so they did. They destroyed it. We had a terrible hand, but well, that's what the game is. We had like triple GP in the opening hand, double warning shot, nothing else.
Ouch. Just
as GPTF. So we were like, okay, this game is over. Next game. So we're like, we just queued GPTF after queuing MF scouts. Our strategy is well defined as being aggressive. So they're gonna expect us to go GPTF or discard. They're gonna go Fiora Shen. He went Zed Lee Sin.
Oh no. Oops.
He went to the worst matchup. So I was like, okay, we switched to I'm a Vi because we were anticipating Fiora Shen. We were like, okay, let's just urge him to death. And that did not happen either. So yeah, that was two man game lost. Work a bit more on the strategy for the second game, and we'll still lost a man game like at the third game, and they also went to Listen Karma. And for some reason we did not take Soraka Tamkench back, which was an obvious mistake. It was just overall better against everything, including Lee Sin. So yeah, this one was a lot of a mistake. Not a bit, a lot of a mistake.
Would you have...
So the question I would... Oh.
Go ahead, Ice-T.
Okay, no, it's just the one question I had, was this going to the Lee Sin and Karma then a 200 IQ prediction, or was it just pure chaos?
You're asking me?
Oh, yeah.
So for that game, I looked at the matchups where Lee Sin Karma like pulls off, loses, and the only one that I was like scared of is Scouts. And even with that matchup, like it's still winnable. The only time that it loses is if MF flips and I don't have Sonic Wave or Lee Sin or... Yeah, that's the only way I can kill MF. But yeah, it's basically I was feeling very comfortable picking Lee Sin Karma there. Like, Shen Fiora is not even a winning matchup. It's not like
Oh no, it's not.
a big advantage for me. Shen Fiora should be the one that has the upper hand. But I looked at our matchups. If we're
I
picking
think it's deck
something else,
dependent.
it's worse than Lee Sin Karma.
And you like had judgment and tasty. That's
Yeah,
tempo losses.
in that game, there was no question.
Yeah.
Because every time we got that manium wrong, the game kind of crushed us down like a lot. It was
Yeah.
okay, we got the manium wrong, but we still have a shot. Like matchups are like 70-30, 60-40, we have a shot. Then we see the opening hand and we're like, okay.
Yeah, that felt kind of bad.
And looking back at the above days, what would you have changed altogether, Ultraman, so the games wouldn't have been so rough or the losses wouldn't have been so rough?
Definitively, I think expecting people to switch a strategy they feel comfortable in is wrong. 100% wrong. That's something I was too much considering matchups and trying to gain an advantage over people feeling comfortable with stuff. And sometimes I'm like, okay, this has a 5% more match, it has a 5% more win rate average. They're gonna go to that. No, they're gonna go to the 5% less that they feel comfortable.
But I think
Even
at
when
least
it's
in our
10%, even when it's 20% for Katazisti.
I think that like I thought you'd expect me to go for something that would really beat your aggro, right? And GPTF into Lee Sin is bad, but after all those nerfs, I figured how bad could it be? You know, because if I just get I, maybe, and you don't get TF. Yeah,
we're talking a lot about comfort now, and one thing that goes out to both Team Spain and Team Belgium, because you guys were on both sides. I mean, all of you, or at least most of you, are actually pretty comfortable now, and you've been in front of cameras before, you've been playing in front of cameras, so this is like a normal thing for you. But it might be different playing for a Riot event, so I don't know, was there any difference in the team atmosphere playing on camera and playing off camera?
At least my team was pretty relaxed. And I am not the one playing on camera because we want Raxitos to be the pilot. Maybe because I play too fast and then he plays maybe like even more relaxed than I play. But I think we're pretty chill during all the games.
Talking about your pilot, I'm actually curious if his background was a generated background or was it his room, because people were joking around that I was joking around that he is playing from a prison. That's what it looked like.
He has to win to leave that. If he doesn't win.
Well, how was it for your team, Ultraman? Any difference?
I mean, every tournament is a bit of pressure. It's always the same. Like, you don't feel pressure, you don't feel pressure, you don't feel pressure. Oh, it's the day of the tournament! I feel pressure a lot. Okay, but besides that, it's nothing new to me. The team's pretty relaxed. I mean, we're chill guys. We're kind of happy to be qualified and just give it in you or all. Yeah. Like, we're not exactly favorites. That's the best place to be. I don't want to be favorite. Like, already for qualifying my country, it was already like, okay, because you were #1 the season before, now you have to, you know. It's like, if you don't perform, it's gonna be all a big thing, and you're like, okay. You have more pressure when you're the favorite, and yeah, I'd rather be the underdog that went 0-2 into 4-2, right? That's the plan.
True.
Everything is going according to the plan.
I like that idea. I like it. That's good. I like that.
Maybe you get one mind thing right now. If it didn't go with the mind games, maybe this
No,
0 to
don't
2
worry.
0. would you have felt more comfortable playing in the first meta where the LP system was implemented when you were like on a shit ton of LP?
I mean, yes, definitely. I mean, I haven't been exactly quiet about the fact that I don't really like this metagame, but that's not the question. If you're trying to perform in the game, sure, there will be times when you're better, times when you will beat worse. That's not an excuse to underperform. You just have to train more.
Yeah, speaking about the meta, one thing with the KDA cards not being allowed and Trundle and friends always being banned, at least now with 3 bans that is possible. One thing we noticed in this tournament is that Soraka Tahm Kench is actually really strong and really favored to be picked. And in this group especially, we saw a lot of Soraka Tahm Kench. Do you guys think it's probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest deck right now in the tournament meta? In this tournament specifically.
I personally think that Luxaysol is the strongest deck, but I'm biased. I'm really biased. I've either got it banned or played all the time, and the one time I lost, it was still pretty close, I think. Not, I mean, what?
Was it?
Don't know your hand, but if I had if I had Radiant, I might have had a chance.
Triple Rims.
What?
Triple Rims to counter the ward.
Yeah, but if I Radiant on 5 and I'm not supposed to play you Judgment there, I have Radiant plus Judgment later on, and that's not a place you wanna be.
I think we were playing around your Radiant, like to not let you use it.
I procced it on 5.
You proc it on 5, then what happened? Wait,
I didn't have it. I didn't have it.
Okay. Okay.
Like, yeah, I'm not saying I'd have won, but I'm feeling like that deck is very strong. So expect me to bring no matter what, that deck stays there. Like, expect me to bring it again, Russia. I'm not mind gaming now.
The mind games are already starting.
I promise.
Next weekend, Romania doesn't have Luxaysol.
I'm not gonna ban your Luxaysol for sure, man.
Sure.
If you want to play it Saturday, feel free. Just don't ban my Lee Sin Karma, thank you.
What?
Just don't ban my Lee Sin Karma, please.
I can promise that. I can.
Speaking about Lee Sin Karma, I've seen that is quite a staple for you, Annie. When did you come up with the list? I think you came up when Lee Sin became strong, and you're pretty much the only pilot. How did you come with that deck, actually?
Okay, so when Lee Sin got buffed, as soon as he got buffed, I already started seeing Lee Sin Zed everywhere. Like, everybody was like, okay, Zed is the same as Lee Sin, so why not just put Zed in there and just, like, give Zed overwhelm, just give Lee Sin overwhelm, and just get 2 big boys destroying their board? And for me, it was just like, Zed is boring. Like, why would I have 2 of the same champion? Like, they're basically the same. Why not just put Karma and just have some RNG, have some more of a control type of a deck instead of just playing like a mid-range aggressive type of a thing? While also Karma brings you like healing as well as much more options, much more of a variable gameplay. So yeah, I made it right after people were playing Zed with Lee Sin, and I had real fun with the deck, and it started feeling really strong. Because of the KDA meta change, like because next week this weekend we're gonna be able to play KDA cards, we might cut the deck from our list though, to be honest. I'm not sure that we're gonna bring the Lee Sin Karma because I think we have a better alternative to bring to the table. So we're probably gonna be changing 3 decks for the Saturday, maybe even 4. We're still talking it out, but yeah.
And when I saw Darius and what's it called, Draven there, I thought that list might have. We didn't see the regions first day, so I thought, okay, if it's a Darius, it might be PNZ, and then he might play some Perks map.
Oh, the elusive Darius. Okay, no. It's a serious tournament. I'm not gonna go. Like, it's a deck that was good before because nobody was playing Ionia and for some other reasons, but now, not really. We said like this is a serious tournament, so we gotta play serious. I really like the Darius Draven deck, at least for the first day of the tournament, because a lot of the people don't know what it is. A lot of people don't know how to play against it, and that's my advantage. That I feel like it's very good in this tournament because it's closed deck lists, and that's the same thing that I'm planning on doing for this weekend. So for Saturday, I'm planning on bringing two decks that people have never seen before, that are definitely tier 2. So I feel like that's a good advantage to bring to the table, while discarding two decks that I feel like are just not good at this playstyle, this type of a tournament. So this weekend we discarded Discard Aggro, we put Draven Darius. I feel like Discard Aggro is definitely a really bad deck in this type of a tournament where you have 9 decks. And same for Saturday, I think we're gonna be removing Swain Twisted Fate, even though it's a great deck. I think there's something that we can bring that's more spicy.
Speaking about Swain Twisted Fate, what made you Ultra and the Belgium team bring that one to the table?
I mean, it was mainly that we wanted to retain the advantages of GPTF without losing against Soraka Tamkench, because we understood after the first day that Soraka Tamkench was going to be a staple. It's really easy to win against Soraka Tamkench with Swain TF. You just bring 2 to 3 anti-landmark and that's it.
And speaking about Swain TF, there was an interesting matchup, and the casters were even discussing if you got it was between you, Ultra, and Croatia, when you any attacked, and some people say you might have lost the game. Let's actually see the footage so we actually know what we are talking about.
I think you need to put it onto the Codger.
You probably don't attack with the broke
If you
back.
shake down the Codger... Okay.
You probably don't attack with the broke back and you just attack with
Oh,
those.
okay.
Yeah, I was about to say if you damage this Codger, it doesn't actually get to attack anything. You do want to bounce it off the spray fin, so we are getting close to this, but I think that with this much damage pushed onto the units, Riptide Rex is going to feel pretty good, especially because you can finish off that box to push with the Death's Hand as your activator. I think you need to put it onto the Codger.
Alrighty then, so what was with that attack and what was in your mind, guys, there, Annie?
Should I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so it was. I feel like when you go Swain TF versus Soraka Tom, if you're playing Soraka Tom and you don't get any champions, if you don't get Tom, if you don't get Soraka, you're basically the aggressor. Even though you're not playing aggressive, you're the player that has to start the plays and make the opponent react, and you hopefully have the spells to react back and just get the value from that. But the problem is, we just ran out of cards. We did not get the Soraka level up, so we can like draw more cards. We weren't able to retain units that well on board, compared to the just value of salvage and more card draw from Swain TF. So they were just able to get more cards than we were able to. And when it was the point of time when we have 2 cards in hand, we cannot make like crazy options, crazy ideas. Like I was thinking like, okay, I could open pass. That would have been a solid play and just make them play first. But I feel like even if I open pass, it's not going to win us the game. Might as well make plays with what we have and just hope for the best, because that's all we can do at that point of this game. We just had no cards. We just had no options. You just do what you can.
How did it look on your side of things, Ultraman, when you saw that attack?
I mean, that attack was good for us because we had Rex, and we had a Rex activator. It was definitely a good attack if we had, let's say, Leviathan. That was a good attack if we had Leviathan. If we had a Leviathan and they decided not to attack, they were dead on next turn. Because that means they cannot trade the... They could not trade
The Swain?
the Swain. I mean, obviously they could have done it after. Maybe that was the play. Like, wait to see if there is a Leviathan, then attack. I think that's the best option. But that's tough in this kind of situation because our hand is big. Like, they have to anticipate that. Maybe we have a Scorch Earth. Maybe we have, I mean, even if it's not in the flavor, but guillotine or things like that. So, yes, they're gonna have to play around a shitload of things with only one Bastion. This is not easy, right? This is really not easy.
Did you think at any point about bluffing Hush? I know with 2 cards you don't really have much to bluff, but did you think about it?
Well, there was no need to even try to bluff Hush. Like, when the game started, I was like, okay, I'm playing my 2-drop, he's playing his 2-drop. I'm gonna trade them because I don't want to use my spells on a unit that I don't care that much about. Might as well use it on a unit that's gonna be much better later on in the game, like Tom Kench, which we didn't do, but doesn't matter. So the point is, like, when I played my landmark and I saw the removal come out on turn 3, or it was turn 4, doesn't matter. Like, as soon as I dropped it down, they destroyed the landmark. As soon as I saw that, I think the game was pretty obvious. I gotta go for the win condition of the second landmark and just pray that they don't have another way of killing it, because I did not draw my champions. So my only win con is just by the landmark. If you don't get Tom Kench that you can buff and just eat everything, you are left with just one choice. It's either landmark or go next game. Because if you don't get Tom Kench, what are you gonna do?
And
Yeah, what's the...
That landmark removal got a lot of discussion, at least in the French community. And I'm really surprised that it shocked people that